of you doing today? Good afternoon. My name is Muiz. And can I get a quick show of hands on whoever had
Yeah, yeah,
cereal in their
okay.
lives? Just a quick show of hands. Pretty much everyone in this room. Amazing. Okay, so I guess
Yes,
we can
yes.
agree that there's only two ways to have cereal, right? One way is to have milk, like pouring the milk before the cereal, and then the other way is pouring the cereal before the milk. So we know there's two ways. So you have two decisions. And that's the exact place I was stuck at over a year ago when I was in Saudi before I moved to Dubai. I had two decisions. But before I dive deeper into that specifically, why I came up with the whole concept of cereal is that's the exact thing. Imagine back in seventh grade being talked about the entire day. Imagine 7 hours in a class, and that's the only conversation that was going about. There's only one right way and there's one wrong way. So can you guys think like, oh, what is the right way? To be honest with you, there is no right way, right? It depends on the preference. But this one smart kid came in the room, said the smartest thing ever, which I will say in the end. I won't say it right now. So let me dive deeper into the whole decision part where I was stuck between, in Saudi. It was a very, very hard decision I had to make, but it's not the decision that defined my life coming here. When I was in Saudi, imagine this. I was self-studying 2 degrees, accounting, IT, and doing an extra course in finance, doing everything that your parents would love to see their kid do. And I wasn't going to university, I was studying by myself. But then I ended up getting a dream, some students would call this a dream opportunity, an internship opportunity at JP Morgan as an investment banker. Sounds so fancy, right? And at the same time, I applied as a joke to one of the universities in Dubai. And it was literally as a joke. I had nothing in my mind thinking like, hey, will I actually go there? So I ended up getting an offer letter. I transferred my credits of studying 2 years by myself. And I actually ended up getting an offer letter. Now I'm in this dilemma. I have this big dream opportunity that will set my life up. And then there's this other path that's completely fresh from start. I have no idea what I'm gonna do because I don't know anybody over here. I have no resources over here. And as the locals love to call it, no wasta over here. So obviously, in that situation, your parents are gonna say, "Go for the internship. Why would you start your life all over again?" But you can see me over here, so you know which decision I took, right? The reason why I dropped that internship opportunity wasn't because of its glamour and whatnot. I dropped it because it felt so limiting. That was one of many reasons I came here. Now, that decision alone, as I mentioned, shouldn't define what I did afterwards. Because there's so many kids around the world that come to Dubai to study. It's not like it's something new, right? The concept isn't new. Studying here in a good university, getting your degree. It's what you do after you come here actually that matters. What are the steps you're taking? So naturally, what I did was I went to every networking opportunity in my university. Literally everything you could name it. Whether it was architecture, something I didn't study, whether it was biomedicine, something I didn't study, or it was something with fashion at one point as well. I was just getting desperate to meet anybody and to get my foot into some place. It was these little actions I started taking until one day, one fine day, I was walking across this one classroom and it had a huge title saying consulting workshop. And I'm thinking, what is this about? Like, what can you teach me about consulting? I thought it's literally what ChatGPT does at this point. So I just entered this room and I see a young man giving a speech about how he went from studying something that was engineering related, not the computer science kind, the more boring one. And he went from being that to study, getting into tech. Yes, he became a tech consultant at one of the biggest firms in the world. Then from there, he started his own startup because he was a very ambitious guy. So obviously, I resonated with that because I'm like, I had an opportunity where I could have done the same thing, where I could get into a big firm, step my foot in there. But I know that's not what I wanted to do with my life at that point. So obviously, when I actually, met him, I started rambling, just rambling. How do I step my foot into some place now? So what happened was I ended up leaving that room with two things. One was an opportunity to work in marketing as an intern with someone who has no marketing experience whatsoever. And the second thing is basically getting an invitation to a networking event from who they organize. They organize an event about student speakers and whatnot. And I was like, you know what, just go. And funny thing is, when I went to that event, I was the first person in that room. Not even the organizers themselves were there. So when I entered the room, when the organizer finally came through, I just asked a simple question: what can I do for help? Like how do I help you out over here? How do I volunteer? As many students would do. I got a rejection. I sat there, and then this person came back to me a little while later and says, "Here's a camera. Can you please just take photos of this entire event?" So I had two options there as well now. I had the option of just sitting there and just enjoying the conversations and whatnot. And the second thing is being uncomfortable going around taking photos for literally no purpose. There's no reward out of this. I still did it anyways because I realized, you know, what's the cost? What's the worst that'll happen? I ended up doing it anyways without any experience in photography. And they needed professional photos. I lied myself to get that too. Afterwards, I actually ended up getting an internship for marketing now. Someone who has no idea about what to do with videos. I have no experience in editing, no experience in being in front of the camera or being in front of the stage or having the spotlights on me. So once I did actually get into it, imagine the first day of my internship, I got a Google Meet invite and I didn't know how to click on that. I don't know what that was about. I didn't even know how to join a meeting, nor host a meeting, nor even lead one, or even make a proposal. I had to learn that step by step every single day. Now, a year later, I'm working with some of the biggest brands in the UAE, and I'm a face of many big brands actually now. You've probably seen a lot of them even on the signboards of Sheikh Zayed Road, probably. Some of them. Like, I'm probably working with a few of them now. So, for me to go from there to this is not one decision I took. It's a course of many actions I had to take every single day so that I was able to show my face everywhere to a point where now people remember me, the industry values me. Now that brings me back to another story during this year itself that really, really did stick with me till now, one of the biggest days of my life. I went to this event, again, not knowing what's gonna happen, and everyone told me it's pointless to go, it's a waste of your time. You're better off doing something else because this was an event for influencers. And I'm like, what am I gonna do in the room for influencers? I'm not one of them yet. So I went there. Funny thing is, I ended up staying in a line of 400 people, right? Imagine this with me. 400 people trying to meet one person. His name is Simon Squibb. Some of you may know him over here and some of you may not, but he's simply a guy who's also very ambitious. He goes around asking people one question, what is your dream? And he tells everyone, how can you help this guy get this dream? You know? So obviously I look up to this person and I wanted to meet him even if it meant a few minutes. So, but imagine everyone else had the same goal. Everyone wanted to meet him because he's this kind of guy. But I went there and I started recording immediately and I didn't take no for an answer. I went up to him, I said one question to him. I said, how can I find investors? I had that 5 seconds to actually get his attention. The first thing he said was, sorry, we don't have the time for this. You know, talk to my team about it. And I could have just simply left and said, okay, fine, because the security was pulling my shoulder anyways. I'm like, is there any point to do this or push myself? But I pushed myself to a point where actually the entire thing was recorded and I got published on his video for being a very persistent guy. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't realize this is how, you know, you could go from this place to this just because you decided to be a bit more persistent or taking a bit more of an action, right? And then on the same day itself, I met one other ambassador of a global brand that everyone knows because it has to do with consoles, music, cameras, everything, right? And I asked the ambassador, can you connect me to the marketing team of that brand? He ghosted me the next day. I texted him again for the next 3 days after that, and he ghosted me all 3 times until I said, you know what, let me give him a call. I just called him out of the blue, cold called him. I said, hey man, it was nice meeting you. Can you connect me to the marketing team? And he said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Why not? A week later, I got an email from that person from the marketing team. And after months of talking with them from this global brand, we were able to already launch one of our first projects together. And that's the first of many projects that are about to happen soon, right? So all these stories I'm trying to lay out has the same sort of action I'm taking. I'm just trying to be persistent, taking one action at a time. And one thing isn't ending up from me being from point A to point B. It's a course of many actions I'm taking that gets me there. And that's what I just want to leave with all of you today. Do not overestimate the power of one action or decision. And don't underestimate the power of hundreds of actions that follow it. Because life, now I'm bringing this back from the cereal topic, is not just like a bowl of cereal where you pour one thing first and then the other afterwards. And this is what something famous this kid said to me that still sticks with me after all these years. This kid said, he comes in to end the argument and said, why don't you just pour a bit of milk and a bit of cereal, just repeat over and over again, and a series in that it compounds. And then you have your bowl. But life is sort of like that too. Life isn't just one pour, it's a series of actions that you take that eventually compound to get to where you want to be. So that's what I just want to leave with you all today. Thank you very much.